Welcome to the very first episode of Morrowind Good Content. In today's episode we'll be taking a look at the majority of unused NPCs in Morrowind. Why so many at once? Well, because all of them fall under a single category. This category of course being the vampire rejects. Now, before we take a look at these NPCs, I wanna head back into the past for just a second. We're going back to February 2016. A kid that had just turned 15 years old made a post about a game he just learned about and later purchased. That game being The Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. The child had purchased this game for one simple reason, and that's to look for good content, as it was very poorly documented back then. One of the things he found was that a majority of the unused NPCs of Morrowind had a vampire script attached to them. With his findings listed, he turned to a forum in order to talk about them, before ultimately forgetting all about them. Of course, this 15-year-old kid was yours truly. I later learned that someone at least added this information to the unofficial Elder Scrolls pages 1 month after my post. Were they inspired by the post? I doubt it, but it's cool to look back on at least. Moving on to the actual content, there are 17 vampire NPCs that go unused. They all have one of 3 vampire scripts attached, related to Morrowind's 3 vampire clans of course. The ones that have the Vampire Onday script attached are Velastiroton, Anodron, Estelenia, Nush, Pustelabanius and Silason. Then the ones with the Vampire Burn script are Chuls, Dinerlen, Morngrakatup, Peregrine Asnesia, Velastiroton and Geralgor. And finally the NPCs with the Vampire Quara script, Garalo Andalas, Nunnemilk Edenibi, Rangala, Vornis Steve or Steve and Wayles. This nets us a total of 6 unused Onday vampires, 6 unused Burn vampires and 5 unused Quara vampires, which is a pretty even distribution. The problem is, it seems that these NPCs weren't all that far into development before getting the axe. The majority of them are level 5 acrobats that wear an outfit consisting of common shoes, a common shirt and common pants, or a common skirt for females. They also carry 100 gold. There are some very minor exceptions of course. Estelenia and Nush wear common robes instead of clothes, and Velastiroton also wears a common ring with her outfit. Exciting stuff, I know. Then there is Velastiroton. He has his class set as monk, and he doesn't have 100 gold on him. And probably the most finished NPC of the bunch is Peregrine Asnesia. She's set up as a smith and carries both a steel warhammer and 10 respawning repair hammers. It's important to note that not all of these NPCs were meant to be of acrobat class, but that's just the default class in Morrowind. So had they been finished up, then their class, level and inventory would have probably looked quite different. I should also note that while these NPCs have vampire scripts attached, they aren't members of those respective factions, and as such don't have any ranks or perks that are connected to membership. But now comes the most difficult question. Why are there 17 unused vampire NPCs belonging to the different clans left in the game files? Of course, there's no right or wrong answer to that question, since as far as I'm aware, no developer has ever commented on the fact. I've heard people assume that there were planned to be more vampire dungeons filled with underlings, but I was never really a fan of that theory. I've always assumed that these vampires were meant to appear alongside their matriarch or patriarch in the headquarters, instead of the weird vampires we got in the final game. As you may know, most of the vampires in the final game just flat out ignore the naming convention set up by Bethesda. This is something that irks me, but might have been done on purpose. All vampires seen in these headquarters are also limited to a single race in the final game. Quara clan vampires are all Nords except for Volrina herself, who's an Imperial. Burn clan are all Imperials, and Onday clan are all Altmer. I personally like the mix of races that the unused NPCs have better. If there's something that the Dawnguard DLC's Volkihar clan did right, it's mixing different flavors of vampire together. Too bad too, as without a player character and these removed NPCs, you will never otherwise encounter vampiric orcs, Bretons, Argonians, Bosmer, Redguards or even Ashlanders. Would I have preferred more mixed clans? For sure. Do I understand Bethesda changing them to a more streamlined format? Sure, I suppose. But seeing as there is no definitive answer and we've reached today's conclusion, what would you have preferred? Or do you think that these characters would have served a whole different purpose altogether? Please, let me know in the comments below and I'll see you all in the next episode.